All right, season 5, episode 4, Army of the Dead from Zack Snyder. It is a Netflix original, and wow, man, a lot of press out there for this movie, and we got to it. I think I feel like a little late, right?
Well, I mean, it's technically the week after it came out, so we're not too late. It's not like we're doing like Nobody or anything like that that's been out for like 2 months. This
Yeah.
one came out last Friday on Netflix. And by the way, I'm Nick. Big J is here. Randy as well, doing the little morning after the movies podcast. And I guess who wants to start? Does anybody? Randy, let's start with you because you're a big Zack Snyder fan. All of a sudden, you've seen a bunch of Zack Snyder movies in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm a fan, but I've definitely been watching his movies now. And I'm not big into the zombie stuff, zombie aliens. It's fun. But I felt like as I started watching this, I had no idea what it was. I just saw it pop up a million times on Netflix. They're doing a great job promoting it. You can't miss it. But I just thought it was going to be a typical, to me, here's how I would say what it is. It's Ocean's 11 with zombies, right?
Yeah,
I mean, is
sure.
that the gist of it?
Sure.
So I didn't know if I'll be honest, I didn't know if it was going to tie into like Army of Darkness or any of that kind of stuff because the title, Army of the Dead, right? And it's dealing with zombies, had no idea. So I had to go look up to make sure.
There's one word in common. You think that there's going to be some sort of connection.
Well, and it's you guys. So I figure it could be reboots or something. I have no idea. So just going into it, I just knew it has something to do with zombies, and that's about it. What I really liked that it was in Vegas. I just drove through Vegas recently, and I'm a fan of Vegas overall, I would say. But that was really cool. Those shots were amazing. Seeing Vegas just lit up that way in a zombie apocalypse, and I felt like the movie, and we could talk in spoilers about like the ending of it, but it seemed sort of predictable to me most of the lead up. You kind of had figured what's going to probably happen until it got to a certain point. I was shocked by a few things. Zombie tigers, as you can see by our background, are crazy, just crazy. And well, I guess we'll talk about that in spoilers too. There's another thing about zombies I didn't know. I'm not too educated on the zombie world. I've seen some zombie movies. I don't know what the rules are when it comes to zombies and the whole backstory, but there was other things that were surprising to me that I didn't know zombies could do or did or whatever. So we can talk about that later as well. But overall, I think it was a fun watch. To me, the scenes, the shots were awesome. They were beautiful shots of zombies in Vegas. The plot line, like I said, I felt like it was a little bit predictable along the way. If you like people just beating up on zombies and blowing up zombies and all that kind of stuff, pretty cool movie. And all the different weaponry and stuff they had was pretty cool. Pretty creative, I guess you could say. And the cast was awesome. I know you guys are big fans of Batista, right? So he's always fun to watch. And yeah, it was overall, I mean, I enjoyed it. I'll also tell you in the spoilers what changed the rating for me at the end, because I did have a rating change based on one factor. But yeah, so overall, if we're rating it, I would probably give it I'm going to stick in my lane of C minuses or C's.
We are rating. It's kind of what we do.
Yeah, I mean, this is season 5, episode 4. At this point, we should have our rating scale down. You sounded pretty positive about this, Randy. What is
never
the C minus
fails? Never fails, man.
I wouldn't watch it again. Okay, I enjoyed the watch for what it was. I felt like it was a little bit long, 2.5 hours. I got to stop looking at movie times before I start watching movies because that starts to feel
like a 2.5 hour long movie, though. At least to me, it didn't.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of it didn't. The beginning was cool too. It was kind of a quick transition. It pulled you in really quick of what was going on and what's going to happen. Some of it was a little slower moving after that, but yeah, I mean, I've stayed in that lane of C movies for a lot of these so far this year, but there hasn't been anything like last season where it was like Bad Boys, loved it. It was funny, hilarious. I'd watch it a bunch of different times. I haven't had any of those this season where I would watch it a bunch of times. I mean, I don't think I would watch this movie again. One's good enough for me. I enjoyed some parts enough about it to put it in a C category, but not loved it or didn't hate it either. I don't dislike it. I wouldn't say frankly, don't watch it.
We're lucky we got you to watch it once.
You are. I would not have watched it had it been for this podcast. That's what I love about this podcast. I watch movies I would never have watched or taken the time to watch.
I didn't know existed.
What are you watching instead? I mean, you can't be doing anything but watching things. What is taking up your time if
Well,
it's
I mean,
not
my
like hugely
time
popular movies?
definitely works taking up my time. But I mean, when it comes to, I'm watching, I watch a lot of documentaries. I love
Yeah.
documentaries.
Yeah, me
So
too.
that's what I'm watching, and garbage TV, as you know, too, which I'll fully admit
I
to.
guess that's true. I forgot that there's a Real World Union on
Housewives
one
of
of the
Atlanta.
streamers.
One
Yeah,
of his
I mean, reality
favorites.
stuff, I'm all about some of it. But yeah, I mean, movie wise though, it's typically comedies for me, for the most part.
Well, this one I had some fun to it. I'll go next. You
Oh.
know, I've said before that I'm a Zack Snyder fan, and that continues with this movie. Although I'll also say this, man, I have a real love-hate relationship with Zack Snyder. I mean, either I absolutely love the choices he makes, or I hate the choices he makes. Like, I mean, I enjoy a lot of Batman versus Superman. Martha is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. There is a lot about this movie that I really, really enjoy, and there's a couple of things that I just did not stand. And one of the things that kind of got on my nerves, believe it or not, was the way this movie was shot. And you kind of see it in Randy's background a little bit, but like there's a lot of blurriness going on in the background of some of these shots that was very distracting to me. And Zack Snyder, this is the first time he's a cenographer. How the hell do you say that word? Cinematographer. Thank you. And so he's the first time he's doing this, and he used some sort of weird camera that threw me off a little bit on some of the stuff. Now I'll also say this on the love side of things, man, take it to the bank. Ain't nobody in the business that does a better opening credit sequence than Zack Snyder. Period. Dot. The end. And the first 5 minutes of this movie are better than any season outside of season 1 of The Walking Dead. I mean, it tells an incredibly awesome narrative story. There's zero dialogue attached to it, but you understand what happened. You understand how we got to this point, and you understand what's going on, and a cool, different angle on all the zombie stuff that we're so used to seeing and is, kind of inundated pop culture in the last couple of years. And so it's a different take on things. I enjoyed the creativity. I enjoyed the kind of originality, although you're right, Randy. I mean, it is a repeat of Ocean's 11. I mean, it's a heist movie in the middle of a zombie city, but also there's a different take on zombies on this particular movie. I mean, they go a different angle. And again, I didn't like all the angles they went in that particular world either, which we'll get into spoilers, but it was enough for me to go, hey, at least it's not the same goddamn thing that we always see. There's a little bit of difference involved in how these zombies go about things, about how there's tiers of zombies and all sorts of different things that are involved in this particular world that make it fairly interesting to me. But again, there's little things that drove me crazy that I felt like it didn't need to be in there. And some of the stuff that was involved in the shooting of things, as much as I like the vision and the world that Zack Snyder creates, the camera, the way it was set up, kind of just threw me off a little bit on this particular movie, but not enough for me to say it was, below average or anything like that, but also not enough for me to say it was the best movie I have ever seen. I'd give it a solid B. I totally watch it again because I think the cast is amazing. I think it's a fun original setup. I think I may have missed things on my first viewing that I'd like to go back and check out. And there's also another angle to this that we're getting into spoilers that could completely change the movie for everybody. Who knows? But either way, I give Army of the Dead a solid B. Definitely worth the time. Did not seem like a 2.5-hour movie, and my problems with it weren't enough for me to go, don't see this movie. I think it's totally worth seeing for sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you on a lot of the stuff that you were talking about, especially with Zack Snyder. And I thought that the beginning moments of the movie were fantastic as well. Mostly, though, I just thought a lot of it was a throwback and an ode to like Night of the Living Dead. I just kind of got that vibe from it. The military always screwing stuff up, that sort of thing. And then you end up in a zombie apocalypse. And so I thought that part was really, really cool. I'm not sure I quite saw the dysfunction with a lot of the cinematography that you did, but I thought what made this movie for me really interesting and awesome are the characters. Like, to me, that's what Zack Snyder does really, really well, is he can tell a story about people and in their interactions with one another really, really well. And it gets to an emotional level on certain degrees. And I fell in love with every one of these characters, man. It was just one of those things where I loved the cast, the ensemble of them coming together, how that kind of worked out. It's like there could be a 4-hour, Army of the Dead cut if you really wanted to put in how all these characters became who they were and how they ended up doing what they did inside of Vegas.
Well, you'll be happy to know, Big J, they have started filming the Army of Dead prequel series that will be on Netflix. So you'll have a whole back.
Perfect. That'll be cool. And so yeah, I thought was really, really cool. And then you get into the zombie heart of it, and again the whole Ocean's 11 side. Yeah, I mean, you always knew it was very predictable. You knew something wasn't right. And as we get in and talk about the spoilers and some of the cast choices, there's always that one person that's typecast, is the bad guy from the very beginning, because they always play that, and it just sucks when that happens. But it does, and so you kind of know that they're going to be the antagonist here. But yeah, I'm right there with you. B plus. I mean, I would even go. I had a lot of fun. There's some stuff again, just like what you said, Nick, with Zack Snyder drives you crazy because one, he's so awesome, and then there's some really stupid stuff. And I have a feeling the things I think are really stupid are things that you're interested in, and so that's going to be exciting when we get in here to the spoilers, because some of the stuff I thought was just stupid and it could be thrown away and maybe even shorten this movie a little bit. Was some of the zombie play that we had, but and then when we get to the end of the movie, man, I was just it hit me, and I was really appreciative of the character development there on more than one way. So yeah, I was totally down for it. And it's Zack Snyder is one of those things where you could probably watch it a couple times and you're going to miss stuff, and that's the really cool thing about this movie, and especially being on Netflix. I mean, you can go and check out some of that stuff, because I have a feeling that there was plenty of things that I missed that I didn't see, that were, little nods probably to the zombie genre, which he is very familiar with. So yeah, I'm down with this movie. I thought it was pretty fun.
It's another movie about fatherhood, man. At the end of the day, that's what Zack Snyder kind of ties into, and that's what the whole
Daddy Snyder.
Snyderverse, yeah, the Snyderverse is about. That's what this movie's about. At the end of the day, it's about good dads and bad dads and how we react to that kind of stuff, and trying to do the best what's for your kids, even if you haven't done it all the way along. So I mean, it's an interesting movie and a really cool take on it, I think. And despite Randy's C-, I think it's worth checking out. Are you upset that you saw it, Randy? Would you not recommend checking this out?
No, I would recommend it. I think a lot of people that are into this kind of thing will enjoy it. And like I said, my rating did change a little bit, so I could go C- to C+ or a D to C-. So I'll tell you why.
Up to a B before this thing's over.
No. There was one thing that changed that for me, but I will say, us not seeing the movies in person anymore, I do envision the points where you guys are laughing throughout the movie, or where I can hear a Big J cackle in the movie theater when I'm like, he's laughing at that. I know it, but I can just kind of envision those things not being together. So it's still
good
fun
stuff. So overall, listen, if you got a Netflix subscription, it's pretty much free to you anyway. So you might as well check it out when you get the opportunity. It's been the #1 movie across the world, the most streamed movie across the world for the last week. So it's worth checking out. It's a fun and different take. It's actually getting decent reviews, which never happens with Zack Snyder movies. So people tend to like this thing, it seems like. And so I think it's worth checking out, and I think everybody else does as well. Shall we get into the spoilers?
Spoiler ahead!
Spoiler!
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert!
We're going ballistic, man. Go get him.
Okay. There we go.
All right. Big J now says it's okay. Randy, why don't you start? What changed your grade? That's what I want to know right off the bat.
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, so easy. The music selection of Zombie, the original Zombie, during that one scene, that sold
towards
me.
The end.
It was perfect. Yes, it was just perfect.
I hated that.
When it first started up, though, I was like, okay, what version is this going to be? Because I thought it was another cover, perhaps. And I was just like, oh no. I was super stoked when it was the original Cranberries version.
Well, it was an acoustic version. It was a different version than what people maybe have heard, or certainly was on the radio. But yeah, it was a little too on the nose for me, that in particular music cue.
Yeah, I thought it was cool, Randy. I thought that was cool.
That's fine. I didn't have a huge, I wasn't like, oh, flipping the table upset at it, but I did like it. That was a good thing for you, Randy, or that lowered the grade?
No, it raised it. In my mind, when that happened, I was like, I'm going up at least a half a grade on this because of this song playing right now and just what was going on in the scene, so that was what changed it for me. And I will say, like I mentioned earlier, it felt pretty predictable to a certain extent as people started dying. I was like, okay, Batista and his daughter are going to walk out of here with the money, and they're going to live happily ever after. It just felt like it was going that direction. However, I was shocked when he dies, and then I was wondering where the one dude was that emerged from nowhere, because they never said what happened. Except for
they locked him in the vault. That's it.
So it made sense when he came out of there with the money. The question I have, though, that I want to know what happens is, obviously he turns into a zombie, right? In the airplane. Where's the money go? Like where's that going to?
Yeah, I don't know where he was going. That's the one thing I didn't. I mean, he got the plane. Where did it say it was going? Does anybody remember?
I don't
He said
remember.
the flight was going, but it didn't like click to me right away that he was going someplace that they had mentioned before. But obviously, Airplane to the Dead is no good. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this part right here while we're on it, and the fact that real inconsistent with how long it takes for somebody to turn. I mean, for him to get out of the vault, to make it out of Vegas, and then to wherever he was going to a plane, by then he would have turned. What we've seen with how Dave Bautista went down, his character. Well, that to me is an inconsistency that I think is dumb. I mean,
let me make an argument, because here's the thing with Dave Bautista: why he turned so quick was he died. This guy was still alive. I think you turn the second you die, because Batista said, "Let me look at your face," and then he died, and then he turned into a zombie. And this guy has been alive the whole time, so I think being alive slows the process. While you eventually will turn into a zombie,
no,
yes.
I didn't think Dave died.
You don't think he died at the end before he turned into a zombie? He definitely died.
No, he
100% died.
He shot him in the head.
He
died.
No,
I totally disagree with that.
No,
I totally disagree.
So you think his eyes closed and he went silent for like 3 seconds before he turned into a zombie?
Yes, absolutely. He did not die. He did not die.
He was dead, and that's why he turned so quick. But the other thing that I had let's talk about the stuff that I had a real issue with. Did you guys watch this in 4K? By the way,
probably no.
TV's 4K. There's something that has like a white spot on some shots in this particular movie that was driving me nuts. I thought it was a dead pixel.
I've seen a lot of people complaining about it,
but it's not on your TV. It's something to do with the actual camera stuff that was used, which is another thing that was fairly distracting to me during the course of the thing. I didn't even know that it was a thing. So other people are complaining about it.
Yeah, but I haven't seen anything other than it's a dead pixel in the movie.
Yeah, but it's like it's not the whole movie. It's just like certain shots. It comes and it goes, and it's weird. It was very distracting to me during the actual viewing of it. But the other thing that I absolutely hated in this movie and thought it was completely unnecessary was the little teeny tiny zombie baby.
Oh God, it was so dumb. That was like Martha Land, dude.
I mean, I get what he's trying to do, which is obviously, again, they're giving you a different zombie story, which I appreciate. Zombies can have a pecking order. There is a king of the zombies. Zeus is the main zombie in this movie, the original zombie, if you will, from the very beginning, that picks out a zombie queen and they rule the zombies. I like that dynamic. It's different. It's cool. There's a pecking order. You have to give a sacrifice in order to do it. They leave you alone if you respect them. That's the kind of stuff that I dig. But when you have to factor in zombie boning and then a zombie baby, and then she's still out doing the stuff while she's pregnant with the zombie baby, is also very weird. And so the whole zombie baby thing seemed like, while I understand how it fueled Zeus's anger to just destroy everything and blow everything up and kill everybody that was in his way because of what he did to his zombie queen, I guess, and their kid, I felt like you could have gotten there without having to have the zombie baby ripped out of a zombie queen's stomach after she had died. It all seemed very, very extra to me, that it didn't need to be there, in my opinion. It drove me crazy.
That was my point earlier of not knowing enough about zombies. I didn't know that was possible. I didn't know zombies could have babies. I also didn't know that there was like a lead zombie. I didn't know that was a thing. I just thought all zombies were kind of equal.
They can do whatever you want because it's fiction. You can make it up.
Yeah, that's what they did. This is all new.
Right.
This isn't like, zombie lore that he's doing. This is his take on zombies. Although I will say this, second time Zack Snyder's had a zombie baby. In Dawn of the Dead, there was a zombie baby in the mall as well, although a little bit different. The mom had turned into the zombie, so the baby was born a zombie. Much different than this zombie by birth thing that they were trying to work in for some really weird and crazy reason.
Zombie strippers, man.
I also hated the fact that they had to nuclear bomb Vegas. I don't know why they decided to just again, I really like the whole setup of how, this zombie apocalypse happened, but yet we overcame it and we were able to trap the zombies in Las Vegas, and the rest of the world kind of carries on, but we have to figure out how to get rid of these so they don't get out. But, it seems like they're pretty susceptible to things that doesn't have to be nuclear options to take out this gigantic horde of zombies that's taken over Las Vegas. And I understand that they needed to add a little bit of element of, danger to the team going in and moving up the bombing and all that kind of stuff. But the whole nuclear eradication of Las Vegas seemed a bit ridiculous to me as well.
Yeah, that was pretty predictable, especially when you knew that timeline was going to change on them, and you knew that ultimately it wasn't going to be about the money. I mean, that seemed like a whole weird premise to me in the first place. I mean, to bring out a bunch of cash that this dude clearly already has millions and millions of dollars. But for me, though, real quick on this, the whole zombie hierarchy thing, I thought was stupid. I thought that was part of the whole zombie baby thing. I did not appreciate that at all.
I like the fact that they had normal zombies.
I know you're saying that. I didn't. I thought it was dumb. The whole part of that wasn't what I was in for, but that's okay. I mean, it made it for a little bit more of an interesting movie. At least it gave you the bad zombie guy to come around and do everything. But yeah, the cast in here, man, was fantastic. Like, they did such a great job. I fell in love with every one of those characters, and I was so upset and shocked when his friend Maria Cruz was killed in the vault.
Oh man,
that upset me greatly, and I'm like, that's a great thing when you get upset. I was like very upset, and then Dave Bautista killed it, man. One of his best performances, like at the end when he's crying. I mean, that got me, that whole thing, and the struggle between him and his daughter with the fact that he had to kill his wife. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I love Zack Snyder for, because he can get me in the feels, and it makes up for all the other weird, wacky stuff that happens and you don't always like. But I thought the characters were amazing, man. Amazing.
Yeah, they were. They did a really good job. Another kind of issue that I had was either the CGI was really good or it was really bad. I mean, another kind of roller coaster ride when a movie relies so much on CGI. But it was clear that the zombies were real effects, which is awesome. I like that very much. I like practical effects more than I like CGI. I always will. I thought the tiger looked great until it attacked somebody, and then it looked really goofy. And then, I really loved what Randy kind of touched on at the beginning, which was how amazing they made Vegas kind of look when it was decimated from it. Just the little details they put in of how they made the Statue of Liberty, the New York look, and the parachuter dude that's hanging from the stratosphere is awesome. It's just a little thing in the background, but it's a nice little detail that really, upped the ante when it came to some of this stuff. It just was kind of really hit and miss for me on some of the special effects that were involved in the movie as well. Lots of blood for sure in this one too, for sure. It's a gory ass movie, guys, for sure.
So with those two characters that came out as zombies, right? They're out of the quarantine zone or whatever. Does that mean that they then went and turned a bunch of people into zombies and then it's spreading again? Or
I believe that you have just pitched the idea for a sequel for Army of the Dead.
Well, that's always how it happens.
Yeah, somebody
zombie always escapes.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna have Airplane of the Dead here, I'm guessing. But the other side of it is, this is the one thing that I definitely wanted to make sure we talked about. Have you guys read anything? Because I actually went to a full deep dive after watching the movie, because I really enjoyed this part of it that seemed like it was a throwaway, but it may not. Did you see the time loop kind of possibilities that they talked about in this movie?
Oh, that they were joking around. They were messing around about that.
But it might not be a joke. That's the thing. And so that's the whole thing that's got everybody kind of talking about this. This may be like a Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat situation that actually is in some sort of time loop, even though it's not really talked about in the movie. There's a couple of hints that are dropped throughout that make it seem like this is actually their fourth time through the vault that they've tried to do it. So the first one is when they're joking around at the vault, and the guy actually pitches the idea of how they're stuck in this time loop, good versus evil kind of thing. And the nerdy vault breaker guy, who I loved, by the way, I love that character. Yeah, I loved him. He ends up killing one of the zombies that comes in and says, "I shot her 3 times." He says 4 actually. And so that's the first one. And then the second huge clue that they give that it might be a time loop is the first shot that you see when they open up that vault. You can see there's 3 guns in the vault that are up against the wall.
Yeah, the gold AK-47s.
It's that dude's gun, and there's no way it could have been in there unless they've been in there before. It's that one particular guy's gun.
I'm going to go look at that. But he never made it into the vault, though.
No, he does. Yes. Well, when they're getting the money out, he puts his gun right next to the other ones. And so that's what makes it look like a loop.
Oh,
And then the third thing
damn.
that's a huge thing is the dude that turns into a zombie at the end of the movie, or that you think is turning into a zombie, is never actually bitten in the conflict with Zeus. They don't show it. He never bites his arm ever.
Yeah.
And if you look at the fight, it never happens. And so it's got people thinking that this airplane thing is actually a totally different timeline than the one that we actually saw. And it gives an opportunity for the whole cast to come back in another version of things if they decide to make stuff in the future. So Zack Snyder said that he's been kind of coy about the time loop, if it's an actual thing or if he's just kind of having fun. But there's a lot of hints in there that could make you believe that this is actually kind of like a live, die, repeat scenario.
Yeah, pretty heavy handed with that whole thing, the beginning in the vault with them talking about it.
Right.
Probably could have.
And you saw the
more
skeleton,
subtle clues.
and the skeletons were dressed up in the exact same stuff that the characters had. Like that one skeleton had the key necklace, like Batista's gal had. The other one was wearing the exact same scarf that Dave Batista was wearing throughout the entire, heist. And so they're in the same clothes as the actual heroes in the movie that are playing around.
Yeah, that would be fascinating. I'd be down with that. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I don't know if
Multiverse is in.
yeah,
Multiverse is in now, though. I mean, it's a thing.
Right. So I kind of dig that thing from a nerdy aspect. And again, a different kind of take on stuff. Although it is a goofy one, it is still a little bit of a unique and cool take on things. So that's all the spoilers I got. Anybody else?
Nope.
No.
Guys, we've reached the end of the podcast. So you know what's up with Army of the Dead. It appears. Oh, wait. Did we upgrade your grade at all, Randy?
Yeah, C+.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go C+ because of zombie. The song.
Let's just call it lame plus.
I've yet to give a
way.
B, I don't think, or an A, or anything else.
Well, I don't think anybody's gonna give it an A.
Unless it's a Ben Affleck movie about depression and alcoholism.
That was a good movie.
All day, baby, all day. So check out Army of the Dead. It is available now on Netflix. We're going to have a bunch of options coming up here to check out as we continue the podcast. The Quiet Place 2 is coming out soon. That's something that we could check out as well. And a couple other movies that are coming to streaming channels. So click the subscribe button, click the download button, click the like button, and give us a rating to make sure that the Morning After the Movies podcast continues to be at the top of your podcast feed. And thank you for listening. We'll check you out next time.
Thank you.
Peace.